I think we can jump in soon. The part that I don't know if it holds me back from getting like excited about the group in general is as a Twins fan,
Yep.
they just don't often draft from this demographic, right? They do, but not
No, you're
right.
right. You're right.
So
No,
there's a lot of names that I think we'll talk about tonight that'll be like, man, if he's still on the board, like the Twins have to consider him, right?
yes.
But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, probably not,
So
and
I got
that's
two.
bothersome.
Yeah, I feel that, and there definitely is like an established track record, right? Like if we look at, I need to slow down, take a breath, woosah. Um, if we look at the
Yeah.
track record,
Take a breath, Jamie.
if we look at the track record of this regime, right, what they've done on day one is take college left-handers. They took Steven Hajar, they took Cade Povich, now in the bigs with the Orioles. They have not taken a college righty on day one, um, unless I'm misremembering.
Ever?
With this regime, and day one is different this year. However, we do know through a little bit of digging that they were pretty high on Trey Savage, and he was scooped a pick in front of them. And so here's the hypothesis I've been wondering about, and let me put this to you and see if it like piques your interest. I think it's fair to say now, right, that this regime has an established track record with taking mid to late round guys and turning them into more than the sum of their parts, right? Like Zebby Matthews, right? Finishing Joe Ryan's development, Louis Varland, like whoever. Like there's a ton of examples of guys who are now in the major league bullpen or in the major league rotation. The wondering I have is what if they took better clay to start with? What if you took an elite arm? And I'm not necessarily saying like a Hagen Smith or a Chase Burns because that's like a top 5 pick. But what if you took a first round caliber arm who already has some outstanding pitch shapes in the mix? We've seen that the Twins do well kind of honing and polishing college pitching profiles. So do we think they might be able to wring even more value by leaning into that strength in a little bit of a different way? What say you?
Well, I mean, don't we feel like that's the Connor Prelip profile?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the remains to be seen. I don't know that his stuff has really ticked up much since the like what was seen at the combine. It's just it hadn't really been seen, right? He'd thrown what 30 college innings,
Yeah.
but I think that's what we're talking about.
Right.
He had obviously all the injury problems,
Right.
but I think when you're talking about the ball of clay being more elite, like the stuff that he had coming in, the fastball slider combo is better than any other pair of pitches, probably, right? That this regime's taken it all.
Right.
Um, but I think that's like an incomplete grade because he's doing his thing now in his first full healthy season.
Yep.
But what's it gonna be?
And that's fair. Incomplete grade is fair. I also think you can counter that and say Connor Pridlow is probably going to contribute at the big league level in his first full healthy season with the Twins organization. So now, what if we take a guy who doesn't have that extensive injury history? And there's going to be some guys off the table, like Kate Anderson is going to go. We'll talk about all of them. There's not a lot of guys in this cluster of top 50 college arms we're going to talk about today who have an extensive injury history, which isn't to say they won't get injured, because this is primarily a podcast about Twins prospects. But I do think you can make a compelling case that if the Twins grab the right guy and things break their way, you have someone who's in the major league rotation in 2 years as a guy with the ceiling of someone who can start a playoff game. Like that's potentially what we're talking about. And that's not to kind of belittle the guys they've taken later, whether that's Zebby or Fessa or Andrew Morris or any of the other guys in the major leagues. But we are talking about a really interesting, diverse, and deep college pitching crop in the top 50 this year. So I think what you say is right? There might be some profiles where if that guy's there, dang, like we really have to think about this because someone's going to drop on day one. And we've heard a lot about college bats kind of pushing their way up the board. And it's making me wonder about where some of these college arms are going to fit.